Hi, Jonathan York, Bay Financial Partners, looking at investment markets. Latest minutes from the Fed appear to indicate they're expecting a sort of a mild recession towards the end of 2023. Recent comments from Fed officials as well appear to indicate that there'll be a quarter point hike at the next meeting. That'll take the target Fed funds rate to 5 to 5.25, and then we'll be on hold for a reasonable length of time. Minutes also indicated as well that if it hadn't been for the recent sort of banking issues in the US, then there would have been a 50 basis point hike at the last meeting. Now that's against a falling inflation scenario. Latest PPI data was down 0.5% for the month. They were expecting it to be around flat. Now that's on the back of better than expected CPI data as well. What's quite interesting as well, the earnings season is underway now, and a couple of the big banks have reported, JP Morgan and Citibank, and they were certainly much better than anticipated. Now on the back of the Fed comments, the 10 years just nudged up slightly. That's currently around 357. Now, certainly in the next couple of weeks, there'll be a really big test for the market with quite a few of the big sort of corporates announcing their earnings. But so far, so good on the earnings season. I say the big banks that have reported have been better than anticipated. Interesting, crypto's had a little bit of a sort of a pause. It certainly rallied quite hard in the first sort of 2 to 3 months. It's up around 30% so far, but still over 50% lower than its November 2021 peak. Certainly tensions been sort of heightened as well between the US and China. The latest sort of spat in terms of sort of potential sort of spying operations. Also as well, no end in sight to the Ukraine-Russian war. That's now dragging into its 14th month. And certainly any sort of criticism of Putin and his regime is being stamped out pretty hard. The latest indication of that is one of his sort of staunchest critics within Russia has just been sentenced for 25 years in prison. Oil certainly backed off. It's currently back around 80 bucks. And it's just going to be interesting to see how that sort of transpires over the next sort of couple of months. UK still got the ongoing issues with sort of industrial action and the sort of doctors were the latest to sort of strike. But also as well, Prime Minister there is under a little bit of pressure as well after what appears to be some sort of incorrect information regarding sort of conflicts of interest. Now, very early days in that investigation, but if that does force his resignation, that would then be the sort of fourth Prime Minister within sort of 12 months for the UK. Europe's still seeing some pretty major disruptions and protests in France, re their pension reforms. But interestingly, European stocks are trading at a 14-month high. Australian economy still pushing along at a pretty reasonable rate, obviously sort of helped by the fact that the Reserve Bank did pause on the interest rate hiking cycle. That's certainly given quite a bit of confidence out there to consumers. Today's consumer confidence figure was up nearly 10%. But also as well, obviously the economy being helped by the sort of demand for minerals and resources, especially coming out of China. The coal shipments heading to China out of Australia in March nearly doubled from what was shipped in February. Now here in New Zealand, still sort of pretty troubled times out there. Certainly the cost of living crisis is still very apparent. Latest data on the food inflation was up around 12% year on year. Now obviously those factors have been exacerbated by the sort of recent weather and also obviously supply issues getting to and from regions in terms of the shipments of goods. Also as well, a pretty gloomy report out of one of the major high street banks forecasting that the New Zealand recession will be now much deeper and worse than anticipated. But certainly on the plus side, spending seems to be sort of holding up reasonably well, and certainly hospitality seems to be doing pretty well. Tourists are coming here and actually spending a reasonable amount of money. But at present, that inflation data does appear to be pretty sticky, and unlike sort of elsewhere globally, it doesn't appear to be coming down very much. And obviously, the government's still under quite a bit of pressure in regard to education and also the health service as well. And with the budget next month now, it's just going to be interesting to see what sort of bribes or sort of carrots are going to be dangled out there to try and get them re-elected in October. Because certainly they are facing a little bit of criticism as well in terms of sort of the amount of government spending that has sort of helped to fuel inflation. Now, if you are looking for income options, there's plenty of options available out there. Go to the website www.bayfinancialpartners.co.nz for lots of interesting articles. I look forward to speaking to you soon.